Hello again, everybody. We are back for the final segment of the Peter Meredith tribute show today. Thank you, everyone that has participated, that has put in comments, bid in the auctions, especially donated to the GoFundMe page. Just everything that you guys have done to help out. It's much appreciated. And like I said, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's very awesome what you guys are doing here today. I'm still mind blown every time I look at the way the numbers have gone up, and it's right here from me. Love you guys and thank you for that. Well, right now I'd like to welcome back Miss Victoria.
Hey guys.
And we now have with us Becky and Patrick. What was the last name?
Meek. M-E-E-K. Meek.
Oh, okay. Meek. That's it. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much for that. I'm horrible with names. I'll have to hear your name at least 30, 45 more times.
That's okay.
Then I'll have it. It'll be good. So, guys, I hear you have got a story that's going to make all the Peter Meredith fans extremely jealous. Who wants to tell us that tale?
I'll tell it. Yes, we've been friends with Peter and Stacy since about 2009. My husband was a Vietnamese adoptee, like Stacy is, and so we met them at a Vietnamese reunion, and we just hit it off. And they're just the nicest people, And Peter was just so nice. We are still in shock and very sad, but Zoe calls him Uncle Peter, Aunt Stacy. So, but our story, I was thinking about the other day, and I was like, wow, we were privileged because they came to visit us in August of 2019 here in Florida, and he happened to keep working while he was here. So in our little front room, I had a recliner in there, and I don't even think we were unpacked from moving. And he just one day I found him. I'm like, "What are you doing, Peter?" And he's like, "Well, I'm just writing my book." And so I don't know which book he was writing, but he wrote many days in our front room on a little recliner. And it's Florida, so we had the attack of the tiny ants. And he's like, I'm like, "Peter, there's ants all over." He's like, "It's fine. I don't care. I just need a place." I was like, "Oh my word, I'm so sorry," but he didn't care. He just goes with the punches, and he sat there he'd get up at like 5 a.m. and write for hours before we did anything. And so we just we don't even know what book it was because we're mostly friends. We didn't read his stuff, but we just encouraged him and said, we were so happy for him to have the series, and told our friends who like that to read his books. But anyway, so he wrote something in our house.
See, that is so cool. That's the kind of story that I've been wanting to get out there today. Because, just to be able to have that kind of contact with somebody that maybe, because like you said, you don't read his book, so you're not a fan at this. You're just a friend. But to know how we react to it as the fan is just like, oh my God, lucky. So jealous.
And also with Zoe for the rest of her life, during the same week that we were here, we went and saw a mutual friend of ours, and they had a pool at their house, and we were just talking, and Zoe was swimming, and then I don't know how it came up, but Zoe would do some backflips, but she didn't know how to, and Uncle Peter said, "I can show you how to do it. Just watch, or just do as I tell you to." And he's really patient with her, so he taught Zoe how to do backflips into the pool. So
like off the side,
and Joe always had that memory.
She's very good at them now, and we're like, it was Uncle Peter that taught her. He was so kids. I mean, he would just spend hours with his grandson and her. And when she was around, he wouldn't give up like we are just like, "Oh, you're done playing." But no, he'd go and go and go. And that, he's totally the kind of person they talk about. I always say, what great words we have for a life well lived, because he was really what they say he was. Like, he treated Stacy like a princess, like made her breakfast every morning, brought her coffee. Even while we were here, I'd be like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm making Stacy breakfast." And like, that's just how he was. He wasn't, we weren't different. And, when we weren't around, he was the guy, very real you know, they're not making it up when they say he was such a nice and
And when we went to visit him in 2020, we came to Colorado, and my grandson Rylan is about the same age or close to Zoe, and they played hours outside. They had these electronic vehicles and stuff, or they ride their bikes. They would just play out in the street. And Stacy and I would sit out there with them, and Peter would come out, and we just enjoy our time together. So
yeah, he's the real deal. He was the real deal, and we're so sad. We were sad with the diagnosis, and then we're just devastated that they were supposed to be here anytime here visiting us, and just the fact that he's gone, we were just devastated. So yes, just like I'm sure everyone's devastated that they won't get more out of him because he was very creative brain. So I'm glad that he found his calling, though. I mean, he had worked so many like nights and for like taking care of people and all.
Right.
Found his calling as a writer. So that was awesome that he got to that point where he didn't just spend his whole life like he's still giving back through his being an author, but he had given back like taking care of people and homes with boys that were troubled, every night for years. So he was just that kind of person.
I know, but the interactions I've had with him, as Stacy pointed out to me last night, I was telling her about this one time when he had put a post out just asking the fans, he was trying to reconnect. So it's fairly recent. And he was just like, hey, just say hi and I'll say hi back and, all that. And so I was going down through that. I was like, okay. So I just said howdy. Literally all I said, went on about my business. Well, I see that there's a notification where Peter has commented on my comment. So I go in and I read it. And he's like, oh, no, Jack Childress is here. There went the property values. And I'm like, okay, where did that come from? But at the same time, I'm like, he got me. That Peter Meredith just jabbed at me. This is so friggin' cool. And so I start scrolling through all the comments because I want to see who else he went after, whoever, he picked on or whatever. Nobody.
No. Well,
just me.
Yes, he had the best comebacks. Oh my word. Just dry humor. You're sitting there and you're just like, did you just you would just die laughing because it was just he'd just say it like nobody, like he didn't even think of it as fun. Like, I don't know. He just had the best delivery. It was awesome.
Well, welcome to the show, Basil.
Howdy. Nice to meet everyone here.
Pleasure to meet you, sir. I've been listening to your dulcet tones here recently.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. Oh, it's fantastic, man. It's absolutely fantastic. So how did you come to be a narrator for the one and only Peter Meredith?
I actually, it's funny because he put his books up, his first books, Apocalypse, was up on ACX, which is like the self-publishing audiobook format.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't do a whole lot of ACX work. I typically work directly for publishers, but I do some if I find something that catches my eye. And his I had seen, and I just crossed over it because zombies aren't my thing. And then another narrator had posted something about the disclaimer that started and how he sounded like a misogynistic racist. And I was like, huh? Well, that's kind of extreme. So I went and I read the disclaimer, and then I read the audition. And I was like, I'm not into zombie stuff, but I'll audition anyway and see how it goes. And next thing you know, I had the job, and it was pretty cool. And over 10 books over almost 5 years that we got those out there. It was a pretty cool adventure. And to be quite honest, I still wasn't totally into the book throughout the first book. I got into the second book. I was like, okay, the writing is okay, but the story's pretty good. I can follow these characters. And then along came Jilly Bean and Ipes, and next thing you know, it's like, oh man, I was channeling that little girl and that zebra for the next 4 years.
Oh,
and
wow.
It was weird, but it was a ton of fun. I really was always looking forward to the next one that was coming along. And he boy, he knocked those things out rather rapidly for the length that they are.
Yes.
So
He was obviously inspired on that. Now, let me ask you: when it came time to do the Jelly Bean voice, how many variations did you go through before you finally said, "Yes, this is her. This is how she sounds"?
it just came right out.
I mean, she just turned out, I mean, she's just a little girl, but she's kind of autistic and kind of, really into things and smart. And that's just the voice that came out.
Now, Ipes, on the other
Wow.
hand, I had to work on, because his voice at first was to me like a Jerry Lewis sidekick voice. And I don't know why, but that's the way it came out. And then it just kind of developed a little bit better, I think. And throughout the time, I think I hit on what I felt like was the personality for those two characters. Everybody else in the books were secondary in my mind. So
You
Okay,
did
well, I was gonna say,
amazing
give
job.
us a little Ipes.
Well, let me see if I can put that together for you. Because, she was actually from Philadelphia, but I don't know why I
Really?
sounded like he was from Jersey all the time. I don't know.
That is so cool.
That's great. Oh my gosh.
oh, excuse me, my dog is crying at me. I have to throw his toy.
Yeah, we've been
There you
having
go.
pet issues pretty much all throughout the day today. Between my cat, we got some barking dogs. I think it your dog. Yeah, it's be at Victoria's place. Got some barking dogs, and now you got a barking dog. Hey, they rule the world anyway.
They do.
That's it. That's it. Well, yeah.
Okay, so did doing his books make you into a zombie fan?
No, not really.
Wow.
I'm not particularly a specific genre fan of anything,
Mhm.
other than historical fiction. I really do like that, but everything else, I pretty much, as far as what I narrate pretty much anything, anything that comes down the pike that I think fits for my voice. I don't do erotica. I just can't imagine myself in those scenes, and I don't do
No.
very many kids' books too much. But yeah, other than that, his books didn't turn me into a zombie fan, but the story and the characters that he made did come to life. Let's put it that way. I really did like that quite a lot, and following those core of characters, he was almost doing like a George R. R. Martin, killing off the main characters every once in a while, and shock the audience. But he had good characters that would pick up the pace and follow along in the story, just as if they were always there. It was pretty good. It was pretty good.
Super neat. All right, Becky and Patrick, coming back to y'all.
Yes.
All right, give us another hanging out with Peter story. Because, like I said, I just love making the others jealous.
He definitely knew how to grill, and Stacy knew how to cook.
Oh yeah.
There lots of times you'd always just hang out with those guys and say, let's go out. No, we'll go grab some stuff in the store and we'll just go do it at the house. I said, okay, so there's been a few times where he'd grill, and then or Stacy would just make Vietnamese food. And we told him one time in the beginning that Becky ate more Asian food than I did, and I mean, she's a Caucasian person, I'm Asian, and Stacy just shook her head like, that's got to change. We
They
got to
always
get
laughed because we were the opposite. They were the white boy Asian girl, and we were the white girl Asian guy. So
Oh, wow. Yeah.
it was always teased when we went out because we're just the opposites. But
Yeah.
what was their favorite? Del Frisco? Is that? Oh my word! Yes, they love. They even one time we went. Oh my! We took them to a restaurant here in Florida, and they brought us alligator bites and calamari.
Ooh.
The worst stuff we like calamari. It was the worst. Like we physically spit it out, and they're maybe a little more uppity than us. So they were like, "We are leaving. They don't even have top shelf. What did they have? They
they
didn't
have
have
top shelf alcohol.
So we had to leave, and it was basically a higher end place. It was hilarious. So we ended up at Del Frisco's with them because they're like, well, we know this place has it doesn't matter where we go. So we were, Zoe had her first $55 steak at Del Frisco's with his Uncle Peter's like, she's having a steak because she loves it. And
Yeah.
she's an only child, so she's a little spoiled anyways. But
Aw.
yeah, she was. They loved the going out and just being with friends. It was fun. But yeah, just sitting back at their house was fine. I mean, they didn't mind. We had lots of dinners around their family table when we were. I mean, we didn't hang out all the time. But when we did, it was very. We just loved. I loved for him to like cut in. He just would come in with his fun lines, and you would just. I don't know. He just so dry humor. It was great. So we will miss that for sure. 'Cause every time we hung out with him, we're like, why don't we hang out with him more? Like it's so fun. So that's what we.
Well, now, hearkening back to something that Becky, or saying your name, Shelby had said when we had her on about Peter would do some odd things like wear certain clothing inside out. Did y'all ever witness that?
I don't know.
No, I
I don't
think so.
think we did. He's pretty together every time.
Every time we were out. with
But
them.
he's silly. He just was silly. Like just totally silly. Silly.
Yeah, just envision this since y'all actually met him in person enough times.
Yeah.
Sweatpants inside out with the pockets flopped out.
Oh my word.
That's one of the ones she described.
Yes. I just was thinking, like, we didn't know them when their kids were already grown when we met them. So, but I was thinking when I watched the little funeral they had, I was like, oh, he must have been just a crazy good dad. Because I see what he did, with our daughter. He was just such a good uncle. And then with his grandson, I'm like, but he was probably, I'm like, those kids, they just had probably so much fun growing up with him. Because although I think he probably worked a lot, he worked overnight, so that might have been but other than that, I'm like, they were very fortunate to have a dad like that. And that just instilled to them, like, for his wife, he'd do anything and everything and cheer her up and just, I mean, he was her rock.
He's a disciplinarian, and you can see it in our kids even. I mean, what we knew, short time with kids, but you just could tell that he was a fun dad, but he also was serious too. They knew, hey, dad's being serious, or it's okay to be goofing off or whatever. But he just had a well balance of how to be a parent, and that was really cool about it.
Hey, Basil, did you get to know Peter very well personally during the time you worked together?
Oh, I did not. We spoke on the phone maybe 3 or 4 times. Probably initially we spoke quite often because of the just getting to know what he needed and what he wanted. And in the process that we were doing, he was doing a lot of the work of editing. So we did have to interact a lot, especially on the early books. But I'd say I got to know him through his writing.
Yeah.
Because that's, myself being a writer as well, I can see, most writers put who they are into their books, and some of their characters are actually extensions of themselves.
Yes.
And so it's interesting to me as a narrator to try to try to flesh out the author's personality through their writing. Because I almost never meet the writers. I'd say I know maybe 3 of the writers that I've narrated for that I've actually met at a conference or something and hung out with and went to dinner and all that. Other than that, I only get to know them through their word. And I could see a lot of a spark of creativity, definitely some darkness, but also a lot of really fun light. You guys talked about him being silly, and that's the thought process of the character Ipes showed me a lot of his personality as far as he could keep it serious and keep himself looking professional, and then turn around and be Ipes. And I thought it was pretty good measure of a man. And
we're actually fortunate he was still our friend, because one of the first times that we got to know them, we were at a Vietnamese reunion. There was only so many rooms, right? We shared, rooms, and it was like a couple beds in one room, and I'm like, I don't know if you want to do that because my husband like talks and yells and screams in his sleep, and they're like, oh, it'll be fine, Becky. I'm like, I don't think so. And so the first night, what you went, oh, I don't know what you were saying, and Peter's like, that was really bad. Like, that was really bad. I don't know what we're gonna do. And I'm like, I tried to warn you, but they still loved us. It was so, I can still see his face like, I didn't think you were that serious. I didn't take you serious. I'm like, I told you to take me serious. But yeah, we still
That's a great
still loved us.
No, that's good.
And
Mark of a friend.
also, I'll be talking something too. Every year,
Oh yeah.
I'm probably going to be included, but Stacy would make these enormous, huge cookie platters
Mhm.
that she'd give out to her friends and stuff. And we were so fortunate to be part of that group of, every December, we could see before Christmas. They were knocking on the door, they were texting, hey, you gonna be around tonight? You want to be
I
on?
mean, like
I mean,
massive.
it was
I
a-
can't see my hands, but like
it was a big tray, wasn't it?
full of cookies, like
Wow.
probably 100 and some cookies per family. It was crazy.
Wow.
So you're
that's-
part of the cookie crew.
Cookie crew, yes, we were on the other side.
Yeah, we were the recipient. It was really
I
good.
still
so.
told her, I was like, can I have your gingerbread recipe? Because I moved to Florida, I don't get your cookies anymore. She's like, absolutely not.
Oh,
Let me give it up. And I was like, oh. I'm like, can you send me some gingerbread cookies, please?
Oh,
They're
That's
so good.
great.
So yeah, he's a very good. But I'm sure they did it together because he was always
Help her out.
helping her
Doing
out and
something.
everything. He didn't. I mean, he was just
oh, I could just imagine them in the kitchen. He's throwing flour on her and
probably
just chaos.
while they're having some drinks.
Yep.
So,
Most definitely.
definitely some
Yes.
drinks. What did he always have here? Diet Pepsi? He
Diet
always had a
Pepsi.
can
You
of.
always have a Diet Pepsi.
Yes. In fact, I had one for like a year or two after, and I'm like, oh man, this was from Peter. I better get rid of it. It's been a while. So I kind of wish you kept it, right? Just
Yep.
never know. But drink some Diet Pepsi for him.
I
Nice.
just do that.
Yeah.
Now, what was his alcohol of choice? What was his if he was going to drink him a stiff drink? What was his thing that he would go to?
Oh, what was it? Oh,
Another tough
Well,
question.
I know. I'm like, what didn't they drink?
Oh,
okay.
They were.
We have
called
something
him
in common.
luscious.
I know they were. They just.
Well, she was like Martini.
Yeah, but I don't think he mostly drank with you, like whiskey or something, right?
I know you like bourbon.
Bourbon and
Yeah.
Bourbon.
Yep.
Yep,
Sure.
man after my own heart.
Yep.
Mhm.
No, yep.
yeah, because they had really like both of them had very high end. Like they knew if something in a drink came to them at a table and it wasn't top shelf, they knew the difference. The rest,
Wow.
whatever. And she's like, nope, that's not the one I asked for. And I'm like, okay, good.
Wow.
You know that we're not.
Well, we've got a quick question here. Do you know if there are any unpublished books written by Peter? Maybe they can be published much later in the future. It's a good question. Wonder if he does have some stuff just
I know
there.
Has he published something since that during COVID or not? I don't know.
He was working on a series, and obviously,
So I wonder
I
if
think
that
it
was written at our house.
it was a Dead Eye Hunt. That's the one, right? Book 3.
Mm-hmm.
I think is what he was starting on. So yeah, but there's somebody they had mentioned it earlier during the last show. Somebody might actually be finishing that book, so that they can close the series out and all that. So I mean, a lot of the fans are responding good to that. Like, thank you, because it has to suck having a story just stop, and you don't know what happens next. And so, but yeah, I'm hearing that it's still going to eventually get done. But as far as unpublished books, I really don't know. I wish I did.
Yeah, I don't know.
Now, Basil, would you step in and help? Since you know his writing style and everything, would you kind of have an idea where he'd be aiming at that book then? Like how you
I mean, I wouldn't mind doing something like that. I would, I've got friends who did that for other writers who had passed. One friend of mine, Mark Cameron, who started off as a ghostwriter writing for a Western author who had passed, and and then that kind of actually opened the door for his book, his own stuff to get in there. But yeah, I do like the continuation of series. I hate if a series stops. I had to drop out of Game of Thrones just because
Oh,
you never know if there's going to be another book. So I've given up hope on that one. Um, like I said, Peter's books are the storylines are very good and the character development is very good. And if someone was to say, "Hey, here's an unfinished book, we need someone to finish it for us," I'd be willing to jump into something like that for sure.
that'd
Awesome.
be great.
Well,
We love to see it.
have to have you get in touch with Stacy and get that out there and
Yeah,
see what
yeah,
y'all
if
can
there's
work
anything
out.
there.
We know he wanted his movie or his books as movies, so maybe that would someday.
Yeah, and we
Basil,
actually
when I
discussed
finish my
that.
book, you're going to narrate it for me. I already have you picked out.
Oh, perfect,
Favorite.
perfect. I'll put
Oh,
you on my schedule.
All
And I'm
right.
gonna bring back our first comment of the day because we were, everybody was, chatting away, which is a great thing. So, Basil,
Hey,
yep,
Mhm.
that was you're apparently their favorite narrator. So,
Yeah, here we go.
well, howdy.
You're a
Glad
lot
to
of
be
people's
somebody's
favorite narrator.
Now my wife's
really
gonna be
great.
jealous.
Your
aha,
work is amazing. You really do a great job.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I think it was in 2020 when we went and saw them. They were discussing about getting some of his books made into movies. I know they were in contact with some directors, but they did, and
But
then
then COVID happened.
COVID happened, so things got into a hold almost, pretty much. So
That
Right.
often happens after authors are gone. So, but maybe that would be the best for Stacy if
Oh yeah.
contact and was able to make it happen.
Yeah.
And there's so many of his stories that can really go there. It would take a lot to adapt like the Undead World or something like that. But there's a lot. All of his stories are different and really powerful in different ways. And so almost any of them I think could seemingly translate into a movie or something, a series.
You
kind of
can
wonder
even take bits and pieces out of the books and adapt a specific. I mean, I can think of in each book, I can think of 3 or 4 individual storylines that could be adapted into a film all by themselves.
Right.
I mean, he made a pretty in-depth world, both with the undead world and then all the semi-related side tracks, and then his other novels is totally different stuff. He's got some pretty in-depth worlds that he created that would be very moldable into just about any other story.
Yeah.
Well, now when we had Shelby on, what she had got to thinking was something like Netflix wouldn't quite fit for some of his series because of the fact that they do have some limitations on how much gore they'll let you show and how much, visceral stuff they'll let you get away with. So, she was thinking like, a different platform like a Shudder or one of those type sites because they'll pretty much let you have free reign and go do what you do. And that's what she thought was that would be the best route to go. And she's apparently still on that mission, that she hasn't stopped on that.
Okay.
So I'm going to be trying to see if I can help her in any way I can. I mean, even if it's just, posting, links or whatever, anything, whatever I can
do. She has a
do.
background in film too, so that I think that'll really help. She has a lot of experience.
Yep. So so we're still pulling for it. Absolutely still pulling for it. Now, if you were to get a chance to appear in one of those and be like a victim, and this is for all 4 of you, would you jump at it or be like, I'm good, I don't feel like having a pretend zombie try to eat me?
That would be awesome.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Oh, Zoe said she'd do it.
I thought Zoe said people can beat me by a zombie.
Oh, even better, Zoe's already a zombie and she's biting all y'all.
Yeah, there you go.
That'll work. There you go.
Oh, is Zoe in one of his books? Is the name Zoe? Is the name Zoe in one of his books or no? Did you say? I don't know. We haven't read.
Not that I know.
I don't think there's a Zoe.
Okay. I didn't know. I know he picked out some names that he knew.
Yeah, not the name itself, but he's a lot of his books have children in them. So
okay.
Right.
They could be modeled
Right.
after her.
In case you're
All
just joining, we're just friends. We don't read the books.
Well, I was about to ask, and this question's for Zoe because we
Okay.
already know y'all's answer.
come here.
So come here, Zoe.
She's coming. Short attention span.
That's me all the time. Hello,
Zoe.
Zoe.
Hi.
Okay, here's my question for you. When you get old enough, do you plan on trying to read Uncle Peter's books?
Yes.
Yes.
I approve. But you've got to
Great.
get a little bit older before you go messing with that. Trust me. It's a little
There's
shady.
a few of them that are probably okay, but
And
Sprite
maybe
is a
start
wonderful.
learning how to use an axe.
Yeah,
Yes.
or blow up a boat, or what else?
Early life skills.
Blow up a
Actually,
bridge.
likes to say this isn't true. So,
Oh, Facebook user says, hello, Zoe.
Zoe. See, yes, Zoe got really big gifts from Uncle Stacy or Uncle
Stacy.
Stacy,
Uncle Sam.
Uncle Peter and Aunt Stacy every year since she was like
Well,
one.
and
I
Yeah.
got this.
Yeah.
I got this one like really big thing. I think they just sent it from Christmas. I got this like it was a car that
Big
goes
car.
that goes with a doll.
You got it.
Wow.
Set. Yeah.
I got a big kitchen set.
That was before they had grandchildren.
But
so
when
she
Zoe was born,
oh yeah,
she was born a preemie, and
she was at 28 weeks and
28
a pound, 14
Oh.
ounces.
but they were the first people old Zoe.
Before I even did, I
before-
wasn't even well enough.
She was born on Thursday, and they were there Friday or
No,
Saturday.
they were there Thursday night.
Oh, Thursday night.
Yeah, because you were on.
Oh, for
Here's
sure.
the story. You were on. He was on his way to their Thanksgiving
I was going to
dinner,
their house for Thanksgiving dinner. That's right.
and the doctor came in and looked at him and was like, "You're not going anywhere. We're taking the baby now." And so we had to call Stacy and Peter and say, and they were right there at the hospital for us because she was, and we have pictures of them with her. I mean, I was so out of it. I didn't get to hold her for like 2 more days, but they were there. And they would bring us pizza, like we were in the NICU for 4 months, we had to go. And they would bring us dinners, and they were so faithful to us. They were so sweet. They'd bring us dinners. The only I mean, we knew lots of people, but they were the ones that would bring us pizza or whatever dinner, or just come sit with us at the hospital. So, like I
That
said,
is-
we're the real deal.
That is so awesome. Well, it looks like y'all are raising a future zombie slayer. So good job by you. She's gonna be out there kicking rear end and taking names before you know it.
Hey Basil, what are you working on now?
I've got a couple of projects that I'm moving away. Well, are you referring to audiobooks or writing books?
Either.
Yeah.
Either? Audiobooks right now, I'm taking a short break. I finished a series that I do every year since 2010. I got one of those done, and then I did a little biography of one of the last original Navy frogmen from World War II. That was pretty cool.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, it was really, really neat. An interview biography of the guy. It's very good. Well worth listening. Into Enemy Waters was the name of it.
Wow.
Okay.
But right now I'm taking a break from audiobooks. My wife is recovering from a stroke she had a couple years ago. So I'm kind of spreading my time out to, just to be there for her. She's mostly recovered, but still needs a little bit of attention now and then. So
Oh.
trying to do that and working on writing a couple of stories. And, I'm delving slightly into Peter's realm, not necessarily of zombies, but I'm working on it's going to be a historical fiction / werewolves and genies.
Ooh.
Oh,
book.
now you've got my interest peaked.
That's
So-
fun, Basil.
So yeah, it's kind of stemmed out of I narrated a series called Autobiography of a Werewolf Hunter, and
cool.
really, I mean, if it's a series that if you're into monster stuff, buy the books. Autobiography of a Werewolf Hunter.
Ooh, I'll check it out.
There's
Yes, for
3
real.
books in that series, and then a prequel book that started, and another one coming out soon. But my mind, if werewolves existed, those books would be them.
Wow.
It's a
that
very
sounds good.
realistic monster story. So I've the author and I talked about it. Brian Easton is the author's name, and I'm doing a spin-off series to his world. They won't be exactly the same. They'll just kind of touch off on each other, but mine will be an immortal guy from before the flood of Noah.
Oh,
who
wow.
His punishment is to die and be reborn every generation, and he has to hunt down this monster that he helped create.
Wow.
And
Super
so,
interesting.
Neat.
so anyway, that's when you say, what am I working on? That's what I'm working on. And in the midst of all that, I found out through Victoria that Peter. Oh, sorry about that. My weird little outdoor setup here bouncing on itself. I didn't know that Peter had passed until Victoria mentioned this show, and I was like, "What?" I wondered why I hadn't heard from him in quite a while, and well, that would make sense. But yeah, so I'm not sure. I've always wondered what else he was working on. If our paths would cross again on another Jelly Bean thing, or how that would go. But yeah, that's pretty much how life goes. We move on, and our stories make us immortal.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
Amazing. Thanks. That's amazing.
That is very, very true. And I mean, and something that has been mentioned a few times throughout the day today, about how Peter has written some fans of his into some of his books. So they're in their own way immortalized because,
oh yeah, absolutely.
As long as that book stays in the family, everybody be like, yeah, see, here was your great, 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 great aunt in this Peter Meredith book. I mean, just it's an
That's
amazing
a great
thing
for the fans. Yeah, the fans love that. I mean, I was just giddy, trying to get win a contest to get my name in there because it was that it really hits home, and I think people really love it. So it's really nice of them to do that.
I got a friend of mine, John Gilstrap, who I narrated for years. He does that in his books. He'll do fundraisers for a charity and say, okay,
nice.
for $500, your name will be the main villain in my book.
Oh, that's cool. And that's really cool.
And then he'll do that and then donate the money and write the people into the book. It's pretty cool. That's a good idea.
That's a
Victoria's got a fan. Somebody says hi.
Oh, it's obviously it's one of it says Facebook user, but it's Michelle. She's one of Peter's administration whatever in the Facebook fan group. So she's a longtime friend of Peter and Stacy's, and she helps out a lot with him. So I think that's just her popping in to say hello.
Well, now if she wants to come on the show, she's more than welcome. So I put it out there. Just go ahead, go find the link.
If you want to join us, yeah.
She's
wonderful. She's a real nice girl.
Cool. I'm sure she's got some good stories too.
Yeah.
Probably more than us.
Yes.
So speaking of stories, who's got us another one? Oh, I'm going to go to Basil on this.
Oh.
Did you ever find yourself, Peter sent you the book, you got the book, you're going through it, you're starting to do your stuff, and you get to a point and you read something and go, what in the actual did he do here? Is he okay?
Oh, there's instances where I'd be reading, and in some books, as a narrator, I typically pre-read the book and then I'll go back through it and act it. And sometimes when I do that, I could just end up being droning, reading. My eyes are reading the book, and it's just going through my mouth, and my brain's not connecting always. And in Peter's books, sometimes I would hit, especially if there's like a lot of dialogue or a lot of description going, and I'd be reading along, and then all of a sudden something weird would come out, some wording of a sentence would come out, and my brain and my mouth would lose the connection. And I'd be reading, and all of a sudden it's like, what? What does that mean? Then I'd have to go back and reread what I just read out loud and find, oh, okay. Or the thing that would typically get me, though, is I would Ipes would say something, or Jelly Bean would do something, or one of the other main characters, Neil, would do, and I would bust out laughing and then not be able to continue narrating for 15 or 20 minutes until I catch my breath and try to say a certain thing in the voice of the character, and it would be like, oh man, I could picture, when I first started narrating his work, I had just come off of reading several very brainy nonfiction items, and then some other kind of I guess you could say highfalutin works that I had narrated. And so when I first started reading his, my brain was still kind of, I guess you could say, stuck in Ivy League world, where I'm like, oh, what is this sophomoric kind of writing, this writing that's intended for junior high school kids? And then all of a sudden my brain stepped into that mode
Yep.
myself. And that's when I was like, oh, I'm really getting into this, because the writing was simple enough that the words could flow naturally as I was reading,
Mhm.
instead of my brain having to be fully engaged at deciphering what I was reading the whole time. With Peter's writing, I was able to read it and actually be in the moment pretty much the whole time. And yeah, I there was a lot of moments. I mean, I narrated his stuff from the first of the Undead novels came out in what, 2014, I think, was when I got that contract, and the last one we did the box set of the first three, I think, in 2019. It came out right before COVID, and so for that 5-year period almost, I was locked into his works on a constant basis. I mean, that's 10 books. Each one of them was like 15 to 20 hours long of narration.
Yeah.
So 200-300 hours. That's it's 3 times longer than the Bible that I narrated.
Oh, wow.
And the neat thing was his story was a constant continuation. A lot of series books like his, the first 2 or 3 chapters is a rehash of the previous book. And so you're getting last week on this episode, and then you go into the story. With Peter's books, it was the end, bam, the beginning, and the next story just picked up where the previous one left off, without a lot of back explanation.
Right. Right.
And as a writer, looking at the mass of content that he had, I was astonished, because for me as a writer, I got 7 or 8 full-length novels, about 100 to 120,000 words apiece. Each one of those took me a year to 2 years to write.
Wow.
Peter put out 5 books, twice as long as each of those, or I'm sorry, 10 books, twice as long as each of those, in half the time that I put out. Plus all the other series that he did, all the other stuff. The guy was prolific. I don't know. I sit back and I look at guys like him and I go, why can't I do that? So
yeah, he
Amazing.
once he got locked in on something, even when he was here at the house, I don't think he was really planning to write. They were just coming down from vacation, and then he made a comment like, "Well, it's here." He got locked in, and he just started writing, and bam, he was just going.
So now, did y'all give him like a cone of protection around his recliner while he was working? Like, nobody go inside this zone.
Like, I didn't even know he was in there, and I was just like, "Where is Peter?" And they're like, "Well, he's in." I was like, "Oh, I mean, seriously, there was like boxes around him." So it wasn't a room meant for like anyone in there. It just had the recliner, and he just sat down. But he actually didn't do it on his computer.
No, he didn't.
Right?
Computer. He had a tablet.
Wow.
Yeah, he didn't.
Handwriting.
It's not a.
Lucky you didn't get carpal tunnel messing with all that.
I know, right?
Constantly right.
I assume we went to. I'm pretty sure it was handwriting, right? It looked like it was. Yeah, what I remember.
See, and that just makes the story even cooler.
He was typing. So
It's not like he was sitting.
Zoe's yelling at me. She said she saw him typing as well.
Both.
But
He's both.
He's done both. So still, that's super cool. Jealous, everybody.
You have to type it at some point. But maybe he was writing his thoughts down. I don't know. But yeah. But another thing I remember, we were always like, they're very, high. They can do their high end stuff, but he could be frugal too. I remember. We don't need that. It's, he was super frugal, and they needed high end stuff maybe when you went out, but they were very down to earth. So.
Super cool. What is the craziest thing y'all ever saw that man do?
Oh my word. I know,
It,
craziest thing. I don't know. Just when he jumps in with the kids, he became a kid. It was awesome. Like he just was like, I mean, he probably would have gotten that little power vehicle with him if he could have fit.
oh, that would have been a great picture.
That would, I
Him
mean,
crammed
seriously,
into that thing.
yeah, he would have went in because he just, and yeah, and just when he taught her the flip, it was so natural and like, no, just do this. I'll just put my hand out and you just flip over me. And I was like, yeah, he'd hold his hand, and I was like, is she flipping into the swimming pool? And they're like, yeah, she can do it. And sure enough, he was right. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. He just, yeah, he was just super silly. So there wasn't, I can't think of, it's been a while since we've sadly been with them, but it's
Which was awesome.
2020 because we moved away. So 6 years we've been gone, but at least we've got to see them a couple times in that time.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Hey, I always heard, hey Basil, I heard that Peter was more of a pantser writer than like an outlining planner kind of guy. Which type are you?
And I would agree on that, by the way, by the feel of the writing.
Yeah.
And for myself, I would say I'm a combination. My first couple books were strictly by the seat of my pants, and they just rolled out on my tongue. Then the most recent series that I finished, Ice Hammer, that one was all the previous books were a single, like a 4-day period of here's the bad guys, here's the good guys, slam them together. That's the story. You got 100,000 words out of it. Ice Hammer, on the other hand, was 3 different interrelated stories that had to intertwine. And so I actually, in that one, I took a roll of meat paper, the white meat paper that you can get from the butcher shop. I rolled that out on my dining table and I wrote 3 timelines on it. And it's actually a 14-foot long timeline for 3 different books, and I just wrote it all out. Then I folded it up in a notebook so I can see all of it. And so yeah, that I would say I'm an in-betweener, writing by the seat of my pants when I'm wearing pants. Let's say that.
Just so everybody knows, I am technically not wearing pants right now.
Oh no!
Oh, he's the first to admit it.
They're shorts. Come on, it's
I'm not
summer
either,
in the
but I
South.
may have dress on. But
I know. Yeah, I did. I think I did ask him. I was like, so do you just like figure out what? He's like, no. When it just comes to me, it comes to me, and so that's what he was doing here. He said, because he's like, I just write. That's why I got up early, because something came to mind. So I just go in when it comes to me, and I just start writing.
nice.
Yep.
See, I would love to have some kind of a device where I could just sneak up on a writer, an author, just stick it over their head, and then I could literally see inside and just be like, what is going on in there?
I know.
What is this? Just see what's inside that head.
Well, a lot of
We'd
times I'll
like
get an
to see
idea and I
that,
can't even
too.
write it down fast enough. Yeah.
Yeah, we'd like to see that too, because we got no idea what's going on in there either. So,
They just got to rattling around. All right. Well, I
That's
haven't
it.
done one thus far during this segment, so I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to give us a little update on how the auction is going. Been very happy with everything, and thank you to everyone who has bid on things, donated to the GoFundMe page, just commented, being involved. Just helping keep this show rolling. For Bailey Higgins' donation of 2 book ones for her Trial by Fire series, we have. I keep forgetting to mention this too. Some of these cases, it's not just the highest bid; it's going to be the 2 highest bids. In this case, we have $50 and $45
Nice.
for that. So that's very, very nice. Now, for the only one more trespasser, and my wind chime is complete. Cool decoration. We are setting at $45
Awesome.
for that, and that thing is really cool. Courtney Constantine kind of came in late, but she donated some books for us to give away, and they will be signed books. And she is currently setting at $100
Nice.
for
Great.
what she's got out there. Okay, the Meredith family obviously posted 3 different sets of Peter's books, you know, with a starting bid price. And these are the ones that just blew my freaking mind. All right. For the Apocalypse, the Undead World series, the starting bid was $90. The current bid is $300.
Wow. Nice.
And then there's us on TV. Shows there. Jamie Hernandez jumped in, and she's auctioning off the first 3 books of her Chronicles of the Undead series, free U.S. shipping. And she is currently she's got a $50 bid and a $50 bid. Got 2 $50 bids there. So there's another 100. Sue Oldham, who was on with us earlier, I love her. I really do. And her silly Sunday limericks are just the best. Y'all need to follow her just to check those out. They are so good. But for her donation, right now we are at $70.
Nice.
And for the Generation Z books 1 through 6 set, and that was a starting bid $55.
Hey.
It's cheap. That's cheap. We're at $200.
Wow.
For that one.
So
Mark. Oh, go ahead.
I just said that's really nice.
It is. It's fantastic. Mark Tufo and John O'Brien had co-wrote a series together, The Shrouded World, and John had donated some books that he had signed, and it's 9 books. So there's going to be 9 winners in this scenario. Wow. So I'm not going to read off 9 different bids, but the high bid and the second high bid are $75 and $50 respectively.
Awesome.
So, yes. And Victoria, your donation is currently sitting at $60.
Nice.
So, Javin Bonds, he totally forgot, and he feels like an idiot for it. And I'm calling him an idiot on the air because I can't. Ha-ha. That's my boy. I love him. He's crazy. They are at $50 on his set. So that's pretty fantastic. And from Chris Smith, he donated 2 different types of really badass knives. I mean, they're just wicked. For the first one, that bid's at $120.
Whoa.
And for because the second one didn't all make it come up, but for Zombie Road, the hardback, which, man, hardbacks are just so cool. I've got one of Angel's hardbacks hanging up back there, and I just love it. We're at $70 on that one. And the last set that they put up, Apocalypse Crusade, books 1 through 5. The current bid on that is $160. So things are going pretty well, and I am eternally thankful to all of you. I really, really am. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Generosity is
through the roof.
Kind of getting to me a little bit there. Anyway, back to some more fun stuff. Is there any type of genre you haven't narrated in but you would like to, Basil?
I don't think so. There are things I would like more of. That typically, I spent the first 10 years of narrating doing almost exclusively thrillers and horror, and now I've gotten a bit into some nonfiction and so on, and that's pretty cool. But historical fiction is something that I love and would love to get into. But I'm a pretty eclectic reader. The only things I ask narrator or publishers not to hire me for is erotica. I just don't give me porn. I do not do porn.
Yeah, I even struggle with certain sex scenes in even like zombie novels. Like it just gets to where like, okay, would y'all hurry up?
Weird,
Come on, let's go.
There's a scene in the first Undead novel. It's 2 females.
Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I was narrating that scene, and I'm just stumbling over it. I mean, at the time, my recording booth was actually my walk-in closet in my bedroom, and got the clothing surrounding you. Plus, I had all professional equipment, but I was like, why would I want to spend a couple grand on a booth when I got this nice big walk-in closet? So that worked for a while. But I was narrating that particular scene, and I had to, because I was uncomfortable personally with it, so I was stumbling on the words and all this. And then I basically reread the same scene maybe 10 times to get through it. And the next day, my son, who at the time was, I think about 16, 17,
Oh
he
no.
goes, Dad, what were you narrating last night? And I said, well, it's this zombie novel. He goes, that didn't sound like no zombie novel to me. I said, what are you talking about? I could hear the whole thing. I listened to you every night. I go, what? And yeah, we had all the clothes was deadening the reflections of sound around me. So the microphone picked it up great, but it went
Yeah.
right through the sheetrock wall, and his bed
Oh.
was against the wall on the other side. So I
Oh
was like,
no.
oh. That's when I decided, okay, I'm going to build a booth separate. And yeah, so now I do it in a 4x5 box in my garage.
Oh.
And but all my kids are grown up and gone now anyway. So
All right. Well, I got a
Look
little
great.
bit of a funny story to tell you, Mr. Basil, about that particular scene.
okay.
I was at work Thursday when I came across that part. Now, you understand, I work in a warehouse. I run around on a reach truck, which is a big old forklift. You know, I can extend the forks out, all that happy fun stuff. Well, I got a little spot I can set a Bluetooth speaker right up here on my lift. I got my phone over here, so I've got this book going, and this scene is starting to happen. And I'm listening to it, and I'm already just kind of like, I'm looking around, is anybody, because the warehouse I'm in, it's just me and one other guy, but occasionally people do come over there for, different reasons. So I'm listening, and it's getting to where it's getting that hot and heated stuff going on, and I'm just like, oh boy. About that time, I hear voices just kind of off to my side, and I'm like, who the hell is that? I look, it's my number one supervisor, my number two supervisor, and a tour group
Oh,
that they're bringing through. And at first I was like, I stopped it, stop. And I'm like, okay, I don't think anybody heard that. And two of the people, as they walked by the end of the aisle where I was sitting there on my forklift, just looking at them like, okay, they were just kind of like, and kept on walking. So I would like to thank you, sir, for that moment that I will never get to live down again.
I'm happy to share the discomfort.
That's great.
Yeah, stuff like that comes up in narrating, and yeah, it's that's why we pre-read the books so that you know what's coming and it doesn't surprise you that, oh no, there've been books where I got through and came up to scenes that it's like, oh, if I had known this was in here, I would not have signed the contract. But you got to do what you're getting paid for. So
Yep, got to
all
power
in all,
through it.
in Peter's books, it wasn't. There was only one or two scenes like that, I think, in that whole series. It just didn't stand out to me. And so, all in all, like I said, I thought he built a really great world around that. And,
and he really built up a great conclusion to that particular segment, with it starting off with, the practice and all that, and then actually getting to the moment it's going to happen. And then he's like, nope, don't worry about it. It's good.
Yep.
And he took you right on to the next thing, and it was so well done.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yep. Yeah, that was really good. It's he's going to be missed as an artist out there, but he's got a great legacy that his wife and kids and grandkids can look to for a long time to come. So,
yes,
absolutely.
Being an author can make you immortal.
Thank you. That's so sweet.
Well, it's been great chatting with you guys. I've got to go do some of my own authory stuff here. So,
all righty, we'll get back to work because people need more stuff to read.
Yes, get out some more stuff.
Go.
We love your work.
All righty.
Thanks
you guys.
Thanks
for
much.
The opportunity.
We love you. Thank you very much.
See you, Basil. Thank you so much for coming on, man. It was an honor.
All righty. Blessings.
All right. Well, that was so super freaking cool.
Yes.
Oh, and I do know now that we're back to just three of us on the screen that you guys are actually still full screen. So
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's just chopping it up for us,
Yeah, that's fine.
Makes sense.
Wow, that was freaking neat.
Yeah.
Really.
What
cool.
of his main narrators, man? That was so cool to hear some of those stories, and you guys with your stories. I mean, Holy Toledo. We have really got to talk a lot about Peter today, and I still feel like there's just so much more because there's so many other people that I wish would have, jumped on with us and
I
told,
know.
things that
so
they
many-
had.
They had so many really good friends. I mean, we consider them family, but we maybe didn't hang out as much as other people. But yeah, there's just so many. They just loved their time with their friends. They pretty much lived for nights out to go out with friends, and they had their bestie. You'd see them on social media, and they were out with this friend, out with that friend. We couldn't keep up with them, but we loved them. Especially once we had a baby. So.
All right. Well, since pretty much I got just the two of you left to throw questions at, I'm going to start throwing some random stuff your ways as it relates to Peter. So, question number one: was Peter a car guy?
He knew his cars. I mean, there's some cars that I just discussed, like, yeah, I'd like to get this. Like, you might not want to get that. Like, oh, really? And he was really knowledgeable. And, as far as him wanting to get one, no, he never was into that.
No,
Okay.
They just had, really not basic.
Just
but
regular American car.
Regular American cars that he wasn't into. Like I said,
Well,
they
yeah,
like to
Toyotas.
spend. Yeah, they like to spend their money on,
Other things.
going out or traveling. But like he was pretty frugal.
He was never
In my
flashy or
opinion.
never flashy or
I
showy.
don't know.
Nope.
I don't know if Stacy would agree with me, but that's how it felt like.
Okay. Random question number two: what is the most unhealthy thing you saw that fitness nut eat?
Oh, he was a
Oh yeah.
I remember before he came on our show the first time. This goes way back. I was actually having to talk to Stacy because he was in the middle of his workout. So I was like, yeah, okay, this guy's got to get his groove on before he comes on the show. And he was swole when he came on. Trust me.
Oh yeah. He had his stuff in his garage or whatever, right? He always looking at lifting weights. What did he?
I mean, surely he at some point some big greasy bacon cheeseburger or a slice of New York pizza big as his head.
Weights are pretty. I mean, they went there a lot. So I would say
Shanahan's.
Shanahan. Yeah, they would go to some high-end steak restaurants. So I don't think he mind eating like the good stuff. So I don't know. Was he a sweets?
You don't eat that many small sweets, but
I don't know. We didn't.
and then that Italian restaurant they didn't near the house.
Oh, yeah.
The Venice.
Venice isn't there anymore, but
It's not there, but
they could walk there. So they would walk there, so they wouldn't have to have someone drive them home.
Good thinking. They just take the long route home.
They drive there and they just
leave the
walk
car there.
home.
They walk home.
Leave their car there because if they got too drunk, they would just walk home.
Yep.
Yes, that happened a lot back in the day.
Okay, well, as we all know, he also dabbled in the world of lit RPG. Did y'all ever see him play video games?
No, but they had video games when,
Well, the kids play.
the kids played. They had all kinds of choices. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
He was always working. He was working a lot, and I don't know when he would have
Had time for
had
video
time.
games.
He was super. He worked a lot.
All right. Well, next random question. What is the best looking outfit you have seen him in? Because that man was snappy. He was
I know.
definitely
He
snappy.
had this Vietnamese. You remember? He has like the traditional Vietnamese
Garb for men, yeah.
garb for men. I don't remember what they're called. So I don't know. But yeah, I remember at a reunion he had that on. I was like, man, that guy can wear whatever, and he definitely, yes, I mean, even with his white hair, I don't know. I think I saw pictures from when they're younger, and I'm always like, you could fit into like.
You can fish a slice of pizza in 2 bites.
Nice. Yeah, so that was probably one of my favorite memories of just him dressing up in. There's one night they had all the guys dressed up in their Vietnamese outfits, but yeah, he always looked sharp. He had his nice pants and shirts because he had muscles. It was good. He was good. Him and Stacy were always to the nines.
I'm telling you, there can't be a more hot horror writing couple ever.
No, right?
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
my
There's
word.
just no way. There's
I
no
know.
way.
I
Look,
keep telling her how gorgeous she is, and she
I mean,
doesn't
look, I
think that
have
she
physically
should
seen Chris Philbrook, Mark Tufo, and David Simpson, who I told Victoria earlier, I put on like the Mount Rushmore, of the indie horror author or whatever. They're not Peter Meredith pretty. They're just not. It's not happening.
I know who is, right?
Okay, let's see. I'm thinking this is a family member. I don't know
Yeah,
who.
maybe.
I'd have to go into the phone here. He could finish a slice of pizza in 2 bites back when we were kids. So I'm thinking that's Uncle John right there. So I'm
Wow.
thinking. Oh, here's a little comment on his silk shirts.
Oh.
Yes.
Mhm.
He did like those. He did seem to like those. And I'm going to drop back one. I missed this one from Norma Sites. Thank you for doing the get your name on there thing. I could feel like I was there with the characters. That's how interested I got in his book. He was a great writer. He will greatly be missed in the world of all the great authors. It's very true. It's
Oh.
absolutely very true.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's very humble to that comment. I think this is yes. I don't know. What a guy.
Now-
Good guy.
okay, next random question. What would be something that Peter would just suddenly do or suggest or just pop up out of the blue? Like, hey guys, let's go to Florida. Some random thing that he might do that he's ever done with y'all.
Mhm. And then what did he? Well, I mean, they were always up for an adventure. Like that's what we went. When he was here, we went over to the beach and our other Vietnamese, and we ended up with them at a Vietnamese, mega party with foods from everywhere, and you just never knew where you're gonna end up with them. But it was remember that party?
Yeah.
And
we-
they just it's just like when you're with them, you don't know what you're gonna get yourself into.
Mhm.
So nope, it's Katie from the Infinite Reality series. I've known Pink since I was 9 years old.
Oh,
Wow.
that's awesome.
Well, like I said, if you can find that link and you want to click it and come on, tell
I
some
know.
stories,
Yeah, come
Love
talk.
to hear it.
We love to hear it.
we've got the door wide open. This is not one of those restrictive shows. Today is all about Peter Meredith and his books, and something that has stood out to me as we've done these shows today. And Victoria, I'm sure you've noticed it too. Most of the talk hasn't been about his books. It's been about him. It's been about Stacy. It's been about their kindness, their love, their compassion, their understanding, their patience. I keep hearing that a lot with Peter, is his patience. And man, that really tells the tale right there. What do you think, Vic?
I think so too. It's evident by everything he did and said, and all of the people's stories, how nice, like genuinely good of a person he was. I know he adored Stacy and obviously the kids, and you can just tell he was always nice. I never heard a mean word said about him, and I never heard him say a mean word. He was always helpful and kind and generous, and I think everyone can see that. It's
And a
nice that so
hugger.
many people come together and can share that.
It's always a hugger. You get a hug when you came in, and you get a hug when you left.
That's nice. Just a
Well, I
warm,
mean-
giving person.
Well, I mean, this is going to be the third time today that I've kind of told this story, and I think I've gotten it to where I can shorten it enough now that I don't bore everybody with it. But Peter's the reason that I'm sitting here doing this right now. Early on, I'd gotten suggested, by Javin Bonds and another friend, J.S. Patrick, to, start doing a podcast for our group. I was like, well, okay. I work in a warehouse, but hell, why not? I'll do it. So I started doing just one-on-one interviews, and the first few, they were fine, but I was having technical issues, and it was just like, man, do I even know what I'm doing? It's kind of odd. What the hell's going on here? And so next thing I know, I've got Javin saying, hey, I've got you Peter Meredith. So get him a date, get him lined up. And I'm like, wait a minute. Oh, crap. This is a best-selling author. I just went from some guys that are, not up here In fact, one guy who just had one book, like we were still getting started. And I'm like, okay. And as we got closer and closer to it, I was just like, man, I'm going to suck at this. This is going to be terrible. I don't even know why I'm doing this anymore. It's like, what am I doing? So Peter comes on for the one-on-one interview, and during the pre-show, because I always like to get people on a little bit early so we can make sure that, everybody's stuff's working and just kind of meet everybody a little bit. And so we talked, and man, he could not have been more disarming. Like he made me, because I was nervous. I was hands shaking, and he literally calmed me down just by how he interacted with me. So we did the interview, and as it's going along, I'm still kind of thinking in my head, like, I'm sucking at this. I am terrible. So we start getting towards the end of it, and I realized that one of my co-hosts isn't going to be around. I'm like, you know what? If this is going to be my last show, I might as well go out with a bang. So I asked Peter, I'm like, dude, I'm going to be down a man. Would you be willing to come on and co-host with us on the other show? I mean, we can still talk about you, or we can just talk about whatever. It doesn't matter. And I'm totally expecting, what time? Me and Stacy got stuff to do. That's not what I got. What I got was, what time? And I said, well, it's about an hour from now. He said, oh, I'm there. And he was just genuinely excited to come do it. And so he came on with me and Angel Ramon and did our podcast that afternoon. And he made it so easy for us. Like he basically ran the damn thing. And it was so incredible. And I was just having so much fun talking to him. Well, we get done with the show, and he's like, man, Jack, dude, you're doing a great job, man. Keep it up, man. You'll get better. Just keep going, keep going. And I'm just like, huh? Dude, really? Okay. And so I stuck with it, and I kept going. And there's been times where I've reached out to him, just texted him like, hey man, did you catch the last episode or whatever? Did I sound all right in that thing? And it might be 2 or 3 days, because he was kind of busy early on. This is before the diagnosis and all that. But he would get back to me. He'd be like, oh yeah, just caught up with it, man. You're doing great, man. Keep it up. And just that alone just kept me motivated. And that's why I will say it to the end of time. He's the reason I'm still doing this. And so losing him, man, that really hurt.
Doing it for him.
Yep. Do it in his honor.
Do it in his honor.
I mean, hell, like I said, I even dressed up. Everybody that watches these shows knows I'm usually rocking a T-shirt of some kind with something naughty on the front of it. So
Hey, it looks it's kind of silky in his honor.
hey, it kind of does, don't it? And it is silky. That's the thing here. If you want to
Oh
take
boy,
it.
look at you.
Yeah, this
Well,
one
Jack, you're
doesn't
doing a
chafe.
wonderful
Doesn't
job,
chafe.
so thank you.
Yes. Thank you for
Yeah.
doing it.
Thank you. And I mean, guys, there's only so much that we can do, and we realize that, and that sucks. But even once this show's over, even once the auction ends, we can still help. We can still do things. It's not like we're just suddenly, okay, we're done, we're out.
Yeah.
We can still be there for Stacy. I mean, she can text me at any time.
Yeah.
If I'm sound asleep, if I hear the ding go off in the middle of the night and I roll over and I see it's her, she just needs somebody to talk to because she can't get anybody else, dude, I'm there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sort of the same thing. I mean, you had those special friends. And I remember years ago as a child, I remember one of the few things that I learned from my church pastor would tell me once. So if you get a handful, you got 2 or 3 friends really close that you could confide in, you could trust them or whatever, you do anything, you give your right arm for, you've lived a successful life. And I know my wife and I were talking a year or 2 ago, but we moved to Florida and stuff, and Peter Stacy, they just come and we visit them, and I said, you know what? If Stacy would have called me tomorrow, I said, or Peter, whatever, I said, we'd be there. That's how close we became with them, and that's just how genuine they were, and like.
We were actually away, so we were trying to find a flight in. We couldn't find a flight in to the funeral thing, so we're planning to just go be with her because we want, she can have other people around, but we need to go and just be with her.
Yeah.
Have her, let her have time with Zoe.
I already told her the same thing, and Peter Jr. Stepped in for her. He just said, hey, she's having a tough time dealing with, which we understand. I said, but let her know that we're here for her anytime, and she knows that too. We've told her, she acknowledged it before this went down with Peter, but she's known we're there for him, and phone call away. I said, there's one where you would help in that place. You really needed to be with her or with them or whatever. So that's how much we love them. So
Well, I mean, look, she is incredibly strong. She's way stronger than she gives herself credit for, and she won't see that now, but she'll see it down the road when she looks back to realize what she's just had to endure and go through. She's going to come out the other side. I'm sure.
I'll be honest with you. Her and I were talking about a month ago, a month and a half ago. Well, actually, her and I talked twice because, unfortunately, I lost both of my parents within 3 months. And I lost my dad unexpectedly, and then we were talking, and she just was that this soothing voice to hear from a friend, and then we told her about it. She found out about my mom, and she reached out, and then I followed up with her. So yeah, just.
And she was in the midst of the diagnosis, so I mean, they weren't in the best place. So she still, of course, gave of herself because that's what they do.
Yep.
She's but he was just so stable for her that I think that's why she's having I mean, we have a great relationship, but like a lot of people just don't get that person in their life. Like they really don't understand what they had. It was like a 1 in a million thing that most people don't get. So
yep, I agree.
It's 29 years, so at least I think that's how long they were married. They probably knew before. So, but yeah, they had that kind of love that most people don't get to have. So she is very, very fortunate, but that makes it all the harder for this to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It really does. I mean, and the thing with like you said about their love, I mean, you could see it was palpable. You could literally feel how much they loved each other. Yeah. So when I was getting to do the interaction, there was one point Peter turns and like says something to Stacy during our interview, and I'm telling you, there's a twinkle in his eyes.
I know.
Like just knowing she was there, he was just happy. She was just passing through. Like
yeah, it was like they just met yesterday all their life.
Oh,
yep.
Yeah, most people don't have that. But,
hell, maybe that's the story that we need to write.
Yeah,
their story,
exactly,
the love story.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
That would be a really good story.
Yeah, because if I wish that for every couple out there to have that, but
exactly,
it's just not always a reality.
I know. Yeah, if she'd be down before, I'd remind her, look what you have. You have Peter and your amazing children, and like now that Peter's gone, you're just like, oh, Stacy. I mean, I don't know what to say, but
yeah,
we love you. That's all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm not gonna kid you guys. I mean, before we started this event today, I was so nervous. I was terrified. And I've been doing these podcasts now for what'll be a year tomorrow. And I've gotten to where I don't really get nervous. You know, I mean, I'm a little, stage fright there at the beginning, and then I'm good once the show starts.
Yep.
But this thing here today is way bigger than anything I've done to this day. And
yes. Well, when it's a life well lived, you can only honor it. So.
But yeah, and like I said again, that's why I keep doing the updates on the auction, just seeing the people that are coming out to support, to help out, to lift them up as much as they can. It's humbling, literally. I think I've overused that word today. I'm been bad as my buddy Richard Rose about his use of incredulous. Loves that word. But yeah, it's.
Well, humility describes Peter very well. Not to an extent. He was very. He was fine to be joking about how, oh, look at me type thing, but yet in his soul, he was very humble and very. They're just so like compassionate. Like they just gave of themselves. When they were talking to you, they were talking to you. They weren't like off, like, oh, I'm thinking about this, and they were.
Well, I mean, I'm going to tell anybody. I know Stacey wouldn't want us to say something about this, but I mean, we made a donation to the family, and we sent a nice little card and letter with it, and then she responded and just, I can't accept this. It's just like, this is for you. And she said, we're friends. And I said, I know we're friends, but she wouldn't accept it. She just she said, you should come see me sometime. I'll come down, whatever you can go out when you come down here. I said, okay. But I mean, that's just, how humble they are as being facing us. They wouldn't accept our gift because we know, but.
He's like, you're like our family. We're like,
I
exactly.
know.
That's why we need to
we want to
help
help you out. But, yep. And
No, but yeah.
but we, like we said, we just alluded to earlier, we're not going to go initially for the service. I think there'll be a lot of people, so it'll be good for her. And I said, when the things stuff there, I know for myself, where, losing with my parents, but once all the people have gone, then it's just yourself. So I'm thinking, you know what? There's going to be a time where you're just going to be by yourself for a while. I mean, yeah, her kids are there. Then we'll just say, you know what? Let's go visit her. And she needs somebody now. And we'll just know, it'll be a good time. I don't know, maybe God will intercede and say, you know what? He'll tell us that Stacey needs somebody there to go visit. So that's what we're planning to do, is just spend some time with her. And so.
Well, I'm expecting you to channel some hugs from me and Victoria now.
Okay.
Yes.
Because we can't physically be
Zoe's our
there, so
hugger.
send those for us.
Zoe's our hugger, so we'll make sure she gets plenty.
Give her lots and lots of hugs. Yeah.
Yes.
So, if you don't mind me asking, where you guys located at? So, just
Okay, Victoria, you want to go first?
I'm in Washington State in the Pacific Northwest.
very nice.
Wow.
And I am in the northern central part of Tennessee, a little small enclave called Gallatin.
Opposite sides of the country.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we used to live in Colorado, and then we moved to Florida.
Oh.
That's how we were with them all the time in Colorado. But,
Yep.
So that's a heck of a climate change going from Colorado to Florida.
Yes.
we love it.
I say that'd be like going from Michigan to Tennessee. It's like,
we tried to get them to move here because we're like, come on.
I can't do the humidity. I just cannot do it.
oh, it's awful. You walk outside and it's like smack.
Yeah, I'm from Philly, so we have humidity there. But
acclimated though. Like right now, it's the worst, and it doesn't even feel that bad.
I know. Actually, when they were here in 2019, they were discussing about getting a place in the BVI. Like, what's that? And they said the British Virgin Islands. Like, we're thinking about moving there. Like, okay. I said, okay.
I don't know if they want that to be public knowledge.
Well, see, now that harkens back to my original question about some place Peter might want to live. You didn't bring up the British Virgin Islands.
Living, yeah. Where you'd want to go, but
Where
yeah.
do you go? Yes, that was.
Well, that's when the country was in crazy. It's crazy now, but it was a little bit crazy. And we're like, we will all go. We'll just buy an island and go together.
I'm just seeing a little small boat with like 20 people on it, just floating along.
But the kids,
Peter's up front with the big captain's hat on.
Yep, the kids weren't on board.
The kids went on board. So if the kids were on board, then
they weren't doing it.
They weren't going to do it.
No.
If they could get their kids to come with them, then they would have done it.
Yeah.
I guys have to take a quick little potty break. Give me like just 2 minutes, and I'll be back with you.
Okay, no problem.
Right on.
Oh my word. Yeah, I don't know what else. We just love them so much.
Now, have you thought about trying to at least listen to the audiobooks?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a.
Especially after hearing Basil. I mean, when he did Jelly Bean, come on.
That was pretty funny.
That was pretty cool. I was never like I don't know how much gore's in it. Like, I don't even watch gory movies, but he does.
I love horror films.
Yeah,
so I mean,
oh, well, see, then you're the perfect candidate to be the one to test drive it. And then you can report back to her and be like, hey, you got to check this out. This is insane.
It's so funny I don't know, because we know them. And I guess we knew him before he was an author. So it's like, you're like, best-selling author. I'm like, oh, wow. Peter was a best-selling author.
We knew him before he became famous.
Yeah,
like,
so
cool.
it was kind of cool that you say that. Like, he's just Peter to us, or Uncle Peter to her. So
yeah, and like I told y'all are friends with it. We're friends with the man, and I'm telling you about first time I had him on, my hands were like this. Just terrified. Like, oh my God, what am I getting into right here? I'm about to make a total ass of myself.
I think if he'd just laugh and be like, oh my, if he thought,
if he's thinking that, like, yeah.
But he did love his fans. He did. He loved going to they go to the
conventions
and stuff. And Stacy was right. I mean, she is so like on it for the marketing and stuff. She spent so much time.
Yes.
Well, come to think of it, I am not up on the Jelly Bean action because I'm reading or listening to one of his other series. But have y'all thought about maybe casting Zoe as Jelly Bean?
I don't know. I guess if they asked us. Although
That could be a thing.
There you go.
there you go.
I
think
posed
that's
it
a
to
wonderful idea.
I was about to pose it to Victoria, but she heard it. She already
I
knows.
love it. That's a great idea. She'd be adorable.
Let's go ahead and book it. Let's get that down. Get the
That's what he
contracts
said.
out.
He's like, you guys need to take care of my niece, is what Stacy told us, and we're like, we're
Oh.
taking care of her. It's okay.
She's beautiful. She's a really cute baby.
Thank you.
Sweetheart.
Yeah, she loves. She
Definitely a firecracker.
That's what she said this morning on the way back from church. She's just like, I'm just sad I won't get to hang with him like he was gonna come anytime, and and I'm like, I know, ever again was the worst part, and I'm all like, whoa. It's so, but I
Yes.
also didn't want him to go into. I mean, I told you that the only blessing. I don't want him to go any worse into his dementia. So
Mm-hmm.
God saved that. He could be how he was always, and he was. You don't have to remember him by any other way. So that's the
I
only
agree.
saving grace about it.
Just his
Yeah.
comment when he first mentioned about his diagnosis, and you could just feel it in his wording of like he was just. I mean, I don't know what really hurt him more, as knowing that he couldn't provide for his family, or that he just loved to write and he couldn't no longer.
The words weren't coming.
Words weren't coming. You could just tell he was frustrated, I guess. I mean, so like I said, knowing who he was, it's like it had to be 50-50, or knowing you couldn't provide for the family at the same time, but you just couldn't be the creative leader. So, I mean, that had to, you could just feel in his wording how he said, like, oh, I mean, I just had to hurt, I can imagine what he was thinking now. I'm going to.
It was just scary.
Just scary, that's that.
Yeah, I was raised from, I don't know, little baby mode, tiny, to like 12 years old by my grandfather. And I had to watch him go through it. And he went through it all the way to the end. And it was not fun. It really wasn't. So yeah, I can agree with, just to think a brilliant mind like that suddenly going, like Pat Summitt, Tennessee Volunteers basketball coach.
Yep.
And she was a genius at basketball, and then it just all went away.
And then to people I've talked to, they said the younger you are, and the younger that when you get that diagnosed with it, and that's when it comes on, they said the younger you are, the more violent that you are. Like, I couldn't imagine, knowing Peter, like, I can never imagine him being violent like that.
Right.
Most quiet, kindest person you ever meet. And just to think that he'd go through that, like,
So that's the only part that I'm thankful he didn't have to go through that. So we can be thankful that he didn't deserve that. I mean, he didn't deserve that diagnosis, but he also didn't deserve to become whatever it would have made him. I mean, he needs to be remembered how he is right now and how wonderful he always will be to all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. We're always going to remember him as the man he was.
Yep.
And that was one of the best, absolute best. Like I said, I think I've had 3 different occasions today where I've had to kind of go, and just like not lose it. And like I said, I never met him.
Mm-hmm.
I never met him, but like I said, he touched my heart. And
we just saw it on Facebook because, like I said, we were away at family, and oh man, Pastor said, "Did you just read what I read?" And I was like, "What?" And you should have seen us. We all just kind of stared at each other, like numb, like no, that can't. And then we're like on the phone to Stacy, and she can't respond, but we were just like, that can't be real. What in the world? So, I mean, we're like, we have to know how. I mean, it was just wow. Peter Jr. finally responded to us. That was good. So, but we were just devastated, and like I couldn't even get him we were trying to get him in, and we were in a little tiny town, and trying to get a flight last minute, and we couldn't. It was just not. It just, there's not that many flights right now. They're ridiculous. So
right.
It was. I just couldn't get it together to get there in time. We thought about trying to drive, and then it turns out my sister got like a kidney the next morning that she was waiting on. So I guess it's good that Patrick couldn't go, but we were just like, Stacy, we said we'd be there, and so that devastated us even more that we couldn't be there. We, like you said, we would do anything for her, and then I think we were crushed more that we couldn't get there in time. So, but then we thought about going to the Colorado one, but we were just like, I think it's better if we just go when we can hug her and not be distracted by anyone else, so she can get our love. Totally.
Well, guys, I guess for some reason, though, I've always felt that when Peter went out, it would be trying to take a dirt bike and jump over 100 flaming buses with the big flaming ring while zombies are attacking the whole situation. That's how I always saw that guy going out, just in a blaze of glory. But I think it's safe to say that his books are his blaze of glory.
Yeah,
because there's only so many writers, so many authors in the world, and he wasn't just one of them.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the greats. He was one of the best. He made indie relevant. He really did.
Yeah.
There are others, of course, but he was one of them. He's one of the ones that made it a thing where other people now, Victoria is writing a book. Our friend Jennifer Amato, who put together the auction, has done such a fantastic job. And thank you. You are awesome. We love you. She's currently writing a book. It's
He's inspired so
inspiration.
many people. Yeah.
That's what he would want.
It's just absolutely amazing.
We found his words before, like we said. Can you imagine if he didn't find calling his words before he was gone? Like that would, because he started kind of later in life. So.
And though, that's something I have learned over the time doing all these interviews, getting to have so many different authors on. Many of them don't start till later. Mm-hmm. It's like they have to deal with the their 20s and early 30s, having to do the work thing and the regular job thing and figure out their place in the world, and then bam, then it hits somewhere after all that. Then it hits, which is actually quite fascinating, really.
The way we found out he was a writer, because I'm a designer, and so he was like, "Hey Becky, you want to do a book cover?" I'm like, "Well, what for?" And he's like, "Well, I'm writing a book." And so I'm like, "What?" And I'm like, "I don't know." I said, "What kind of book?" And he's like, "I don't remember what it was," but I'm like, "I don't know if I'm that kind of designer." I'm like, "There's places." It was apocalypse. Yeah, what was the first one? Yeah, but I'm like, "You write books?" He's like, "Yeah, I write books." I don't even know how many he was in by then, but he's like, I need a book cover," and so I'm like, "Well, there's places you can go, and they can submit some, and you can choose." So that's how he ended up finding his book covers. I said they'll be much cheaper than me. Oh my gosh. I'm like, and much better probably because people like to draw like that. So anyway, but yeah, that's how we found out he was an author actually. Design.
Well, again, that's another proof of humbleness right there. He didn't go, "Hey, I'm Peter Meredith. I'm an author."
Right? Yeah. You've known.
You didn't get that.
No. Yeah, I don't even. Maybe that was his first. I don't know. He was just starting it. That was years ago.
Well, and also they're looking for somebody to edit, and you said you don't actually edit.
Yeah, I don't, because I'm in marketing. Yeah. But yeah, so every once in a while, Stacy would send me a question. I'm like, "Yeah, go do this." And so trying to learn Photoshop and stuff. So I'm like, she's like, "You're an expert." I'm like, "Okay, we'll just do this." And so we'll try and help out as we could. But yeah. So it was funny because that's how separate the author world was from just being with Peter and Stacy. But yeah, if you can afford a Del Frisco, go out and do a steak in his honor. He'll be very proud of you. Actually, send that money so they can go to Del Frisco. That would be good. Send some Del Frisco cards.
Man, guys, I just need to give everybody a quick update. We have less than 30 minutes left in the auction. So whoever your top bidders are right now, man, you guys are in the catbird seat. You're hanging in there. You're holding on tight, but there's
Finish
plenty of
strong,
time.
finish strong, baby.
Plenty of time for people to jump in there and top you out and make you have to come in again. So
Make a
let's
statement.
keep those.
Do it.
Let's make the things come in. Don't forget about the GoFundMe page. Get over there if you're not trying to win an auction. $1, $2, $3, whatever.
Any little thing to help would be just so generous and wonderful. I know they appreciate it, and we seriously appreciate everyone who's donated already. There's been so many amazing people that have come out to express words about Peter and also to want to help in any way that they can. So, I mean, you guys, Jack, you've done an amazing job today. Jennifer has done so much work to get the auction going.
Yes, she
And,
has.
I just started the GoFundMe, which is, just a small little thing, but I'm just so happy that people are responding and coming out with positivity and, love for Stacy and the family. So it's been a really good experience. It brings a lot of, he's passed and it's terrible, but look at all the good things that are coming out of it. He's bringing so much people together, it just in love and memories of him and for the family. So it's a super powerful thing. He's living in all of us right now. It's just amazing.
Oh, and Victoria, I'm just going to call you out on air just because I can. You could easily co-host any podcast you ever wanted to.
I stink at this stuff. This is not my thing, but I'll do anything for them. So.
Oh yes.
Well, guys, I think we should go ahead and just close her out right here. This gives us all a chance. We can kind of sit back and watch the auction play itself out. See who the final winners are at the end. But guys, this has been an.
Isn't there a name for it when you come in and you bid higher than the last person and take it right at the end for an auction? We need some of those. Can't remember.
It's totally possible.
You go in at the end and you.
It's always fun to watch at the end when things get.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name. There's a name for it that you put in at the end and you just outbid everyone at the last.
Oh
second.
yeah, I can't. I know what you mean, but I can't think about it.
You swipe it at the last second and
time it. Nobody else can get it after that.
We need some of those.
Definitely would take them, no doubt. But yeah, those are some of the funnest things because you're just sitting there like, I'm waiting. You get your dollar amount in there and you're just like, and go. And then your computer crashes.
Oh no. Yes.
Oh.
It's always the worst. Yeah, the worst possible time.
But no, everybody that has donated, everybody that has bid on the donations, everyone that has contributed to the GoFundMe page, everybody that's commented today, everybody that's been on here today, I love you so much. You have just made this a fantastic event. Peter Meredith may not be with us physically anymore, but he is always going to be with us. His books are out there. Stacy's out there. Mm-hmm. Keep the family in your thoughts. Keep the family in your prayers. Stand with Stacy. Stand with Peter. Like I said, he's there. He's got the ability now to be anywhere he wants to be at any given time. He's there. But seriously, guys, thank you so much for everything today. This has been a wonderful event. I was terrified going in. I was absolutely terrified. I was so afraid something was going to go wrong. Something wasn't going to work right. And yet we've made it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Stacy and Peter Jr. and Shelby, we love you all so much. And we're here for you. Anything you need, please. We all love you and we're all here for you.
Yeah. And keep sending them messages, even if they can't respond. Like they'll see it eventually and
let them know you love them. Yep.
Yeah, it won't be unseen.
Nope. Absolutely. And I'm going to go ahead and vote for the No Pity Zone private chat that me and Victoria and Rich and Stacy and Jennifer have. We keep that thing because we've had some pretty fun conversations along the way in there. So.
Oh yeah, I've loved getting to know all you guys. You're really awesome people.
Yes, I actually get to see you in person.
Mm-hmm.
You are, and you're gorgeous.
Thank you. Oh, it's been a pleasure. You are an amazing guy.
I'm just trying to get by. Thank you.
Thank you for everything. You've done so much.
Yeah.
So for Becky and crap, I gotta comment my damn way here. Hang on, it's irritate me. For Becky and Patrick, for Victoria, for me, and most of all, for Peter and Stacy. This has been the Peter Meredith Tribute Show. please continue to donate. The auction's still going. We'll see you out there in the real world.
Thank you all so
Love you.
much.
Love you
Love
guys.
you.
Love you, Stacey.